Alright, so today I want to talk about why I don't think I'm ever going to run an ultramarathon again, or at least that's how I feel about it right now. I ran my very first, well I guess my one and only ultramarathon last year. I think it was in April or March. It was a 40 miler. It was in Wales, and I ran that race for two reasons. The first reason was that an ultra was the only category of foot race that I hadn't really ever done. I've done cross country, I've done trail, I've done short distance mountain races, I've done up to 25 miles sky races, I've done half marathons, I've done 10Ks, 5Ks, 6Ks, I've done marathons several times as well, but I'd never done ultra distance. So I wanted to know what would it be like and could I do it. And then the second thing was I was getting paid. So, which always helps make a difference, because I was being sponsored by a trail running brand, and I was shooting some videos for them while I was doing it. And I mean, I did it, I succeeded, I finished, and an interesting thing happened when I finished, because as soon as I finished I got that, I felt terrible, I puked, which I was quite pleased with. I was told that would happen at the end of an ultra, so I managed to take part in that great tradition, barfed my guts up around the back of the finish line. Immediately following it, I felt terrible, thought I never want to do this again. The next day, I was already thinking of, I could probably do 100 miles next. 40 miles is not that long, and it's not that long. An ultramarathon is any distance over a marathon, so 27 miles, I suppose, is arguably an ultramarathon. But for people who are hardcore ultra runners, 40 miles is kind of a baby ultramarathon. And there were people running there that day, and there's me struggling for my life, and there were people there, and that was just one of a series of races they were doing. So 40 miles isn't really a super long ultra, and that's why I immediately started thinking, could I do 103 figures? And I felt like that for about 2 months, until eventually I felt, actually, I don't want to run an ultra again. My desire to do it just completely faded, and I feel totally apathetic and almost slightly resentful of the idea of doing another one. And I guess it boils down to something really, really simple. It boils down to the fact that I'm someone who likes to do a lot of different activities. If this is your first time on this channel, this is my casual running vlog channel. I have a main channel where I do outdoor adventures, Stephen J. Reid. And if you go on that channel, you'll see I do running, I do cycling, I do hiking, camping, paddleboarding, different activities. And when you're training for an ultra, it is all-consuming. To do that 40-mile ultra, I was having to go out and do at least 10 hours a week, mostly on roads as well, because it was going to be a flat ultra. And it's just so much time. It really does take up so much time. I found for me, probably my ideal race length is a half marathon on trail, because I can maintain that with about one training run a week, maybe two if I need to. Like two 10k runs a week easily will maintain a trail marathon, as long as you're training sort of in a mix of terrain. But when you get up beyond that distance, when you get up a marathon and ultra marathon, suddenly that's not going to cut it if you want to run the entire thing. If you're happy to turn up and walk it, that's one thing, but for me, I think that's pointless. There is walking in ultras, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people that thinks you should never walk in a race, but I don't think you should ever walk the majority of a race. And some people do that for ultras, and that's what they like to do. They like to mostly walk the distance, and that's fine. For me, if I was going to do that, I would go and do like a long distance multi-day trail or something. If it's an ultra, I want to actually run the majority of it, and that means a lot of time, a lot of training, minimum 4 days a week, and out running for 4 to 6 hours maybe on your long run. Because even a short ultra, which is 40 miles at a slow pace, which I finished, I think it might have been somewhere in the middle-ish. It still took me 9 hours to do it, and you got to train for that kind of punishment. So yeah, I guess I guess that's the reason, really. It's that I just don't have the time, or at least it's not I don't have the time, I could make the time. It's I want to do other types of activities, not just running. And I also want to do other types of running, not just that one type. I really enjoyed, like a few years ago, I got into mountain running quite a bit. I started out doing shorter mountain runs. They were quite fun. And then I decided I wanted to do a longer distance, like sky races. And I trained and did a couple of those, and they were so difficult to train for. They were harder than an ultra to train for, but you were training somewhere beautiful out in the mountains. For a sort of for a flattish ultra, you're going to be training mostly on roads, which isn't very exciting. Oh, excuse me. Now, you might say to me, Stephen, why don't you do a mountain ultra? And a lot of people have asked me about this. Why don't you go to this race, that race? And for me, I think I will not be running a mountain ultra anytime soon. I can't see me doing it anytime within there been any chance of me doing it within the next even 5 years. It might be something I do eventually, but currently there's just no chance, because it requires so much time, so much training. It's a massive commitment. I love the idea of being able to do it, I really do, and I'd love to do one someday, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, because even a 25-mile like mountain sky race requires at least 2 trips a week to the mountains. And when I was training for the ones I did do, I trained for 6 months to do a 25-mile with about 3,000 meters of elevation during the race. I spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds on diesel. That was the hidden cost I never realised. I think I probably spent at least £500 just on fuel, driving to somewhere that was suitable to train for that kind of race, because while I've got these nice trails not far from where I live, it's not mountain terrain. It's not the right kind of environment to train for a mountain race. So if I was then going to do a mountain ultra, which would be double that distance, I'd have to double up that training, and I would basically have to take 2 days a week off work to train for an ultra. I don't know how people who work normal jobs manage to do it. I really don't. I suppose one of the things is I'm quite strict about trying to keep my weekends at least mostly free. I just want to be about for people and the things I do, and it's not really fair if I'm gone every single weekend for hours and hours at a time. So what I tend to do at the weekend is I go out on a Saturday and I'll run for 2-3 hours, and then the rest of the day I go do something with Louise, and then on Sunday I got church stuff, and then generally I rest on a Sunday when I can. I do like my Sunday afternoon naps. So I am kind of precious about protecting my weekends so that I can actually get a break and have that time that I can spend with friends and family. So I don't want to eat up into that. So yeah, those are all kind of the reasons I don't think I'm ever going to do, at least not in the next 5 years, another ultramarathon. I don't think. I could completely change my mind, but something interesting happened this week, which is that I had a conversation a couple of days ago, and I'm trying to figure out how to work. I don't want to give too much away, but if it goes ahead, running videos will become a more significant part of my job, and that could be quite good, because again, if you're new here, you might not have heard this, but with my main YouTube channel, I'm almost at the point where I can give up client work. My day job is I do commercial video production, so I make adverts, I've done stuff for TV, I've done stuff for social media, or I make content for businesses, and that work, I do enjoy it, but client work eats up so much time. It really, really does. I mean, I made a reel this week, a reel Instagram reel for a brand. That reel was 15 seconds long. I sent it through on the Monday. It took 5 days to get through their approval process. 5 days. They then came back with some feedback, which I then fed back on, and then they fed back on that, and then I made the changes that we agreed on, and then I sent that through about a week and a half after I sent that original 10-second reel through, and then almost a week after that I got approval on that video. And that's the problem with doing the kind of commercial work that I'm now doing for my clients. Very few businesses are paying for like one-off videos, or videos that, it's not they're not quality, they're not what I used to enjoy about filmmaking. There's no script writing involved, they're just, they're quick, they're fun, and they are enjoyable to work on, but they don't give me the same satisfaction I used to get when I was doing client projects where we would spend a while developing script and things like that. So I guess what I'm saying is, it's not the kind of work I'll miss if I'm not doing it anymore, or at least if I'm not doing it very, very often. And this new opportunity could mean that I could then essentially give up nearly all my client work apart from this running related stuff, and then otherwise I'm full-time on YouTube, which could be interesting. So we will see how that development goes, but in the meantime, here's what I want you to do. I want you to let me know, and this isn't a competition, I'm just curious to see who's out there and who's watching. Let me know what's the, I was going to say the longest race you've ever done, but no, let me know what was the most difficult race you've ever done. And if that was the egg and spoon race in primary school, that's absolutely fine. I'm just curious to see what spectrum of runners are actually watching. I suspect no one who's a decent runner will watch these videos. I feel like I have more of an appeal to the very average runners out there, but I could be wrong. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for helping me put in this little nature break on my run. I gotta go home now because it's a Saturday morning. It's my brother-in-law's birthday and we're heading out for brunch, and this is exactly the kind of thing I try to protect my weekends for, because as I get more and more into YouTube and doing YouTube, it's so easy for it to take over your life. It really can. It really can. You could just so easy. I could be doing something every single weekend, every single Saturday, Sunday. I could be off doing something else, and if I did those other things, I'd make more money. That's the tricky bit as well. That is the curse of any kind of self-employment, is that you have a choice in how much you earn, but the hidden cost of that is to everything else in your life. So I think it's really important to protect those things that you value. So I'm going to go off after I run and have a fry. Have a great day. Bye.